Migrants are still pouring into Europe. We here in America largely unaware of the extent of the crisis over there.
With reports of mass sexual assaults during New Year's celebrations in Cologne. The suspects were mostly Arab and North African asylum seekers and other migrants. The shocking events unleashed a debate about refugees, integration, and crime.
And that's left this country that's always prided itself on its welcoming, open attitudes to refugees, grappling with some awkward questions.
Doctors now fear a flesh-eating disease has been brought to Europe by Syrian migrants.
For the police and the security service MI5, the questions now are: was the attack Islamist-inspired? Is the 29-year-old suspect known to them? Does he have associates? And does he have mental health problems?
All over Syria, it's all over the Middle East. So the refugees are spreading it all over the Middle East, around Turkey, Lebanon, Jordan.
The attackers, who also targeted this area outside the main station, are described as young men of Arab or North African appearance.
And what did the men do?
They just grabbed our arms or tried to, like I said, tear us apart and pushed our clothes away and so on, and tried to get between our legs or I don't know where, and just got everything we had in our pockets and so on.
Germany is letting in too many refugees.
The attack took place next to the ruined church that stands as a monument to the savagery of the Second World War. If this was the work of an asylum seeker, it poses a real challenge for the woman who threw open the country's doors over a year ago.
Warum sind Sie eigentlich hierher gekommen heute?
Weil unser Kind hier schwer verletzt worden ist. Und Dankeschön, Frau Merkel. Hoffentlich, dich wähle ich mein ganzes Leben lang nicht mehr und hoffentlich meine ganze Familie und meine Freunde auch. Nein, bitte nicht weiterfahren.
Danke.
The truck had Polish number plates. A body found in the cab is thought to be that of its Polish driver. But a masked man behind the wheel escaped on foot.
Germany is facing a drastic number of refugees by the end of 2015, believed to be in the region of 1.5 million. The figure has been leaked by the country's top-selling newspaper, Bild, and cites classified government reports. The revelation has raised not only the public's eyebrows, but politicians too.
The author of the bomb attack on a bank in Ansbach in July the 24th is a Syrian whose asylum demand was refused. 1 million refugees arrived in Germany in 2015, with the peak migration being reached in September, when Chancellor Merkel decided to open the frontiers.
But this is where the festival happened, and where teenage girls say they were groped, harassed, and even raped by young men, allegedly in the main young Afghan asylum seekers. 20 or 30 men, foreign men, of course, surrounded us, and we couldn't even move anymore. So, yeah.
You say foreign men, can you describe them? What sort of language were they speaking?
We thought they were Arab or something.
The deadly route across the central Mediterranean is now the main gateway to Europe, with some 180,000 refugees arriving last year. EU sources say another 350,000 are still waiting in Libya for better weather conditions.
But there is a new threat here. Smugglers and police telling us that ISIS have hidden fighters among other groups of migrants bound for Europe.
This new developments in the migrant crisis unfolding in Europe. We're now learning that ISIS fighters are hiding among the migrant masses, many of them being smuggled through Libya.
With men, women and children being welcomed with open arms without any limits or any checks.
They travel with their families without weapons as normal illegal immigrants. They will wear American dress and have English language papers so they cause no suspicion.
Without any limits or any checks. Without any limits or any checks.
Germany's interior minister said security would be stepped up across the country, but the Germans should not succumb to fear.
But it faces a very, very deep crisis. This massive Muslim immigration is disastrous for Europe.
Police tell us off camera they've caught different other migrants with ISIS links, and a top Libyan intelligence official warns us the threat is real.
Without any limits or any checks. Without any limits or any checks.
The historic error made by Chancellor Merkel last year by saying all can come has led directly to this mess.
Then in July came 4 terror attacks in a single week. 3 were committed by asylum seekers, and 2 of them were claimed by ISIL. In the video posted by ISIL, a young Afghan refugee claims he is a soldier of the Caliphate and promises to mount a knife attack. On the 18th of July, he injures 4 people on a train near Würzburg.
This trade in human souls is awful enough until you think that perhaps ISIS are using this passage of human life into Europe to try and infiltrate the continent with sleeper cells.
The German authorities have made repeated appeals to the people not to associate migrants with terrorists, but admit that jihadist extremists could have entered the country as refugees.
An investigation is underway after 7 migrants set a homeless person on fire on Christmas Eve at a Berlin metro station.
For some, Swedish culture is under threat. What's clear is that Swedes don't know which way to turn, having taken in more refugees per head of population than any other European country.
This is not a situation that's normal in Germany or in any Western country, and we are all very shocked that this could even happen, especially at an event like New Year's Eve.
Young men in group treating this as some kind of fun way to spend an evening or to go to a party and just pick out women and harass them in group, rape them in group. That's definitely nothing that has been existing here before.
So you do blame migrants more generally?
For these kinds of assaults, I blame the culture they come from, and I blame the fact that they don't want to accept that in Sweden we have a completely different view of women.
It was a cover-up, wasn't it?
No, we didn't cover up, of course we didn't. But we didn't tell. And there are so many things we don't tell because we have so much information, so much things going on.
Did you say that there were guns being used in these no-go zones?
They used to have, about 5 years ago, the police officers who I met with would say they'd have incident of gun violence, let's say once a month, once every few months. Every day there's gun violence going on. And it's not simply staying, here's the problem, it's not simply staying in these enclaves, which by the way, they say are states within states. Swedish law doesn't apply in these places.
This group of teenagers and young people attempting to set fire to a homeless man who was asleep on the train. Now, all 7 who are in custody are refugees, and the Berlin police confirmed their identities to us.
At the scene of the massacre, the Christmas stalls are shuttered and silent. But there's fresh anxiety. The police now saying they're not sure if they have the right man.
A refugee and asylum seeker is in custody, and he's being charged with the rape and murder of a young woman.
From Syria in Germany claims he spotted a man with ties to the Islamists living there. The former Islamic State hostage recognized a pro-ISIL soldier, who he says stood guard at their town when it was under the control of the terrorists.
Despite the best efforts of law enforcement and the concerns of local residents, thousands upon thousands of refugees continue to try and make the crossing over this border into Germany.
We have seen in the past weeks that the migrant crisis is spilling over from Hungary to Austria, and that it has affected more and more regions in Austria. I can imagine that a lot of Austrians feel insecure and they are not sure about their own government measures to control this crisis.
On the sidelines of the summit, Germany's Angela Merkel has told Turkey it must fulfill all the conditions set by the EU before its citizens get visa-free travel to the bloc. Visa-free travel to the bloc. Visa-free travel to the bloc. Visa-free travel to the bloc.
97% of Turkey is actually in Asia, only 3% is in Europe. But what if the whole country were to become a member state of the European Union? Well, that would extend the borders of what would then be known as Europe all the way to Iraq, Iran and Syria. If Turkey were already a member of the EU, then technically she could expect to receive 1/3 of the EU's entire structural aid budget. Turkey would be getting out as much as the UK taxpayer is paying in.
The crisis is in some countries completely out of control. We have this strange paradoxical situation that governments actually urge the migrants to come to Europe, but at the same time they admit that they have no grip on the migrants and the refugees that are entering into Europe.
I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that Europe is finished. They're bankrupt, declining population, declining birth rate, aging society, banking crisis, and now totally divided socially.
The migrant crisis will affect the political stability in the Western European states.
Wir wollen auf der einen Seite die Sicherheit garantieren und auf der anderen Seite diese Zusage der Visafreiheit auch einhalten.
Get visa-free travel to the bloc. Visa-free travel to the bloc.
I'll say flat out, Ralph, we don't realize it here, but Europe, I think, is finished.
Islam as a religion is a lie wrapped with some facts and truths.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth! Let them prove it's a religion of peace! There's a bomb going off, or a car going up in flames, and it's Muslims screaming for the blood of Christians, or Jews, or anyone they hate. Page after page after page is about religion, a religion that teaches convert or kill. Let him prove it's a religion of peace.
The People vs. Mohammed went #1 on Amazon and is still on the bestseller lists. At Amazon America, reviewers of The People vs. Mohammed are saying, highly recommended. The book should be required reading. Well done to the author who, in my opinion, is brave and courageous. 5 stars. Stocks are selling so fast, Amazon is continuously restocking their inventory to keep up with demand. J.K. Scheinlin is truly overwhelmed and eternally grateful for the support received. Sadly, the author has, however, received numerous death threats because of its success. But this only shows that Muslims are truly running scared and have realized that their tacky deception tactics are failing. Muhammad was not the perfect human. From what we've been told by numerous subscribers, Muslims are leaving Islam because of this book, although secretly, as apostasy in Islam is certain death. Just go to jkscheinlin.com to be taken directly to the book's listing page.
Let him prove it's a religion of peace.